Brian.
Jason.
And this is the Perfectly Screwed podcast. And if you're listening, then you probably already know that. Because we have like 50 people that listen on a standard basis. So we appreciate you 50 guys. I want you to know that.
Unless you're like blind and just randomly hitting
play
on something and it happens to be Perfectly Screwed podcast.
Well, actually,
they're probably happy that you told them what it was.
It's interesting. Just last week, we got 6 more downloads of the Christmas special that we put out almost a year ago now.
Nice.
Yeah. I was like, oh, they're just finding it now.
Well,
they're loving it.
It's getting to that time. It's, tis the season, Brian.
Yeah. Well, we have over 100 views of our investigation historian now on YouTube.
Do we?
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. I know. We're getting good. We're getting a lot of views on YouTube. Of course, Arrow has almost 150 of Strawberry Cunt, but fuck him.
That bastard.
That bastard. Anyways, before we get into it, did you hear that McDonald's has adult Happy Meals now?
No, I didn't.
Yes.
What is an adult Happy Meal?
It comes in a Happy Meal box, like a big box.
Fuck yeah.
And you can either get large or small, and it comes with either a Big Mac and a large fry and a drink, or a 10-piece nugget and a large fry and a drink.
How about...
And a toy.
What's the toy?
It's like a little figurine. They got one that's like a smiley face, like happy emoji guy, and then they got Ronald, and then they got Grimace, and I think they got the Hamburglar too, but they're like little figurines.
I'll be damned.
Yeah, but it's like $11 for the damn meal, so it's more than a Big Mac, because you get a toy. I mean, and the box, so.
$11?
Yeah. For the large meal, for the Big Mac. I said, Jesus, that's a little expensive.
I'll just take a number one.
That's what I said. I was like, look, man, you're giving me a cardboard box and a toy that I don't want.
Right.
I can just get a Big Mac meal for like $6, dude.
Yeah, no, it's a cool idea. I would get it if it was the same price as the value.
Yeah, but no. And it's only until the end of October.
Unless maybe the toy was like a vibrator.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It sucks you off.
Adult toy that had like a gram of Coke.
Yeah, a gram of Coke with the Big Mac.
Right. Like, you know what I'm saying? A couple of syringes.
Yeah, like a Pez dispenser, but with Ronald. You push his head and his dick comes out with Coke on it.
If it was a Pez dispenser might be a toy. If they gave me a Pez dispenser and like at least 5 refills.
Yeah, then I would do it.
$11.
Yeah.
100%.
Or if it was a bobblehead. If it was a bobblehead of Ronald that I could put on my gas or something. If it was a Pez
dispenser bobblehead.
That'd be cool as shit.
In that case I would buy it because I would actually be coming out ahead. They would be giving me a deal. That'd be a cool ass toy.
Well, see, if you order on the app though, on the McDonald's app through your phone, they also give you free merchandise. Like they send you either a McDonald's t-shirt or a McDonald's hoodie or
for the Happy Meal.
Yeah, because you ordered the Happy, but you got to order it through the app. Like you can't just go up there and order it. They won't send you the shit.
Well, it's trap app.
Yeah. But I mean, if you're going to order the Happy Meal, you might as well order it through the app and just get the free merch.
Yeah, dude, it's t-shirt. A t-shirt makes $11 itself.
Yeah, so. Especially if they sent you a hoodie. Like a Ronald McDonald hoodie. Yeah, that'd be cool as shit.
Yeah, right. Like with a badass picture of Ronald McDonald on the front.
Yeah, sucking off Grimace.
Smoking a blunt.
Yeah. Have you seen that hoodie they have out now, speaking of? It's a cat. Dude, it's a psychedelic like tie-dye hoodie, and on the front it has a cat doing cocaine, and above him in Coca-Cola letters it says cocaine.
Nice.
It's written in like the Coke script.
That's awesome.
It's fucking great, dude. Right. It says cocaine. Like that is genius shit.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Hell of a drug. Yeah, he's dead now. What else? Oh. Yeah, you know who Danny Masterson is, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I was just reading. Okay. Now, you know he has a bunch of rape charges for raping the bitches in the Scientology thing. Well, they're trying to sue him and the Church of Scientology. So the Church of Scientology tried to say they wanted to handle the matter internally, like the lawsuit. And so California overruled that. They said, no, that's not going to happen. So they appealed to the Supreme Court, thinking that maybe the Supreme Court would say, yeah, you can handle that internally. The Supreme Court said, get the fuck out of here. We're not having this shit.
Not doing it.
Yeah, no, they're going to sue you, motherfucker, now.
Right.
Just go on. Well, hell, what they did was bullshit. Like, okay, when they found out these bitches were saying this shit, they told them, you got to shut up, right? And I guess the church did. And the chick said, no, we're not only going to tell the cops, we're going to sue him, right? And I guess the church, like, threatened them, said they'd kill them, killed their pets. Like, they hunted down their cats in the backyard and poisoned them and shit.
Well, I mean,
that's what you get with Scientology.
But that's
why Tom Cruise pays so much for that organization.
That's what all churches do and have done.
Well, of course.
Throughout the history of time.
Come on. It's like George Carlin said, religion is the biggest bullshit and scam in the world. Yeah, they make you actually believe that there's an imaginary person that'll send you to hell.
There's an imaginary man in a white beard that lives in the sky.
And he'll send you to hell if you don't do these 10 things he tells you to do.
But I mean, it's...
Oh.
I mean, if you go back 500 years, bub, and we got caught talking about the things that we talk about 500 years ago...
Yeah, we'd be burned.
They not only would we be dead, they would fucking come in this house.
Oh, yeah.
We can talk about how tough we are all we want.
Yeah, no.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, they'd drug us out and burned us.
Drug us out in the middle of the goddamn street.
Oh, yeah.
In front of everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Hung us up.
Oh, yeah.
Set our ass on fire.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And that's the religion that these Christians are all gung-ho about.
That's the Christian religion.
Yeah, that's the Christian religion.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of, somebody sent me something. And it was, I've got to mention it since we're talking about religion. It's the funniest thing I ever seen. In fact, it's so hilarious and so absurd that I had to tell other people about it. That's how absurd this was. And it's a video on YouTube. And if you want to later, I'll let you look at the video because it's absurd as shit. But somebody sent it to me that's a Christian. And I'm not going to say who, put their name out there, but they sent it to me, and it says, why reincarnation isn't real. So I thought, well, you know what? I got to see what they're saying. So I'm listening to these experts that are Christian, theologians telling me that why reincarnation isn't real. And the first thing he said was, well, we know reincarnation isn't real because the Bible says it's not.
Because the Bible says
I said, you can't use a book I don't believe in as a litmus test. That does not work. You can't say just because this book says this, it's not real.
The thing is, where does it say that? Mm-hmm. And then I would find somewhere in there where it says that it is real. Because I guarantee it says that too. That's what the book is. It's a whole fucking book of contradictions.
Right. Well, his second argument was, he goes, now, the reason why people believe in reincarnation is because there's a lot of cases of evidence of children who remember exactly their past lives. He said, so I can explain this. This is what's happening. Demons are putting the information in their mind, and that's how they know about the past lives of other people.
So...
Well, first of all, that is not out of the Bible. So now he's making up shit that doesn't even coincide with the book he originally said was his litmus test.
Right.
Right. It doesn't say in the Bible that demons can put history of another human being in your head anywhere, nor is there any record of that ever happening in any book of the Bible. So therefore... okay, both of these arguments are asimine. Well, and it was so funny I had to start laughing. I'm like, you are completely...
It is funny because I know for a fact, I don't know what fucking books and verses and shit, but I do know this, that it does talk about reincarnation in the Bible, and that Jesus Christ himself believed in reincarnation. Because somewhere in there... John the fucking Baptist was the reincarnation of Elijah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it says he's the reincarnation of Elijah.
And Jesus Christ even tells them, Because there's a whole thing about how Elijah was supposed to come before Jesus.
Right.
And Jesus tells his disciples, I told you, dumbass motherfuckers, that Elijah's already here. He's John the Baptist, and you motherfuckers cut his head off.
Yeah.
So right there.
That proves reincarnation.
Well, it doesn't necessarily prove it, but it disproves a motherfucker saying, well, the Bible says it isn't real.
Right.
Because right there, it's talking about that it is real, and the person I'm believing is your Lord and Savior, motherfucker.
Yeah, it's the one that you are using
right
to base your whole argument on. Which, again, you can't. You can't have an argument that's based on a book that I don't believe in. Because, okay, that's like saying, again, like I've said before, that The Great Gatsby is real because it says it in The Great Gatsby. That's retarded.
Right.
Okay, that doesn't make any sense.
And like, what exactly would be the difference between reincarnation and resurrection?
Well, resurrection, they believe that you're going to heaven as just your soul, where reincarnation you come back to earth.
Right, but Jesus was resurrected, and I mean, they seen him.
Right, he came back to earth.
He may not have been reincarnated into a different body, but he was still, like, fucking visible to him.
Right.
So, like, he was dead,
but
now he's there. Like, that's still kind of reincarnated.
Well, supposedly.
Or resurrected.
Again, this is a third-hand account of information.
Right,
but
of course.
Yeah.
Like, well, yeah, I'm not stupid. This didn't fucking really happen.
No, of course not.
But Jesus.
Well, I mean, maybe.
Jesus.
We don't know if it happened or not, really. I wasn't there. Okay?
No.
Yeah. Well, that's like I was saying the other day to someone. I said, if you think about it, what they say heaven is in the Bible, it's a constant, eternal church service. I don't know about you, but that sounds boring to me. And the person was like, it was my wife. She goes, well, yeah, but when they have video games, I said, of course not, because video games have violence and language and all kinds of shit, so they can't have that. You can't have really good music unless it's worshiping music. It says in the Bible that you'll worship God continually for eternity. So heaven, according to you people, is sitting around talking to other people that are dead and worshiping God. So it's a constant church meeting.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know about you, but after a few thousand years, I probably heard every story everybody's got to tell in this place. And I'm kind of bored.
It would get a little boring, yeah.
I mean, yes, that was heaven to people in that time because they had no TV, no technology, no music. So to them, sitting around talking to people was what they did. That's what they did for entertainment. So that would be heaven to them. But to me, I'm sorry, I need some Aerosmith.
I guess I got a different view of heaven.
Yeah. I need some hookers. I'm just saying.
That's heaven.
I mean, I need some weed, motherfucker. I don't know. You give me now my heaven's a bottle of Jack Daniels that never ends, and never gives me a hangover, and
titties in my face.
Yeah, titties in my face, and weed for days.
Hey, it never moves.
Right. I want a personal concert with Aerosmith, and
I literally don't. I don't have to work because I don't need money. I don't have to eat because I'm dead.
Right.
I'm just
Right.
I'm just there.
But even that would get boring after a while. Eventually, you would do everything you could think of, and you would just get bored.
That's funny, dude. I was listening to Alan Watts the other day, and he talks about that. He said, he says, think if you could live your wildest dreams.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? No matter what you could think of, your wildest dreams, you think of it, it could come true. And he said just the same thing, dude. Like, eventually, you would get bored.
Right.
Of living out all these wildest dreams and whatever. And that eventually, you would want a challenge. Eventually, you would want something to scare you, to make you anxious. Or eventually, you would probably dream that you were right here, right now.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
Right, because life is the good moments are only good moments because they're fleeting.
Right.
Paradise is only paradise because it's temporary. If it's forever, it's no longer paradise. You can only define paradise. That's why there is no good without bad. There is no right without wrong.
No black without white.
Right. It's the way it works. But let's get to the subject today.
Oh, what was we talking about, Ryan?
I guess unsolved and mysterious disappearances of people and things.
Yeah, strange disappearances.
You wanted to start it off, so please.
I did. This was a story about a man named Stephen Kubacki. Kubacki disappeared February 20th of 1978 in Saugatuck, Michigan. And he was found May 5th in 1979. That's, what, 15 months, roughly 15 months later.
You keep saying things that make me chuckle, like Kubacki and Saugatuck. I'm glad that I'm not saying this, because I would have fucked up every word.
Well, yeah, I very well may be.
No, you're doing a lot better than what I would have done.
Kubacki. Kubacki.
Yeah, that's how I'd say.
And Saugatuck is Saugatuck. I mean, I know that's right.
Okay, well, I do not. So,
but yeah,
I would have fucked up both of those words.
Kubacki was cross-country skiing is what he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And disappeared February 20th of 78 and found 15 months later, May 5th of 79, in Pittsfield, Massachusetts. So I don't know how far away, but that's
from Michigan to Massachusetts.
That's a fucking
that's
several hundred miles, if not 1,000 miles.
Oh yeah, thousands probably. Well, first of all, I don't think you can get there without crossing a lake, because Lake Erie would be in the way, so you can't directly go from Michigan to Massachusetts.
Yeah, we'd have to look where Saugatuck is. I don't know if you can cut off Lake Erie or not.
Oh, well, yeah, it might be lower than Lake Erie. But even then, you'd have to go through Ohio and Pennsylvania and New York.
No, it's a job.
Yeah. It's like 4 or 5 states to get
from here to Massachusetts, and you could probably put another 4 or 5 hours on it. Because that's where Holland, Michigan's about 4 hours from here.
Yeah, okay. So from here to Massachusetts is probably 2 days, maybe? Yeah.
No, it's probably not that far.
I bet you, well, maybe.
It's probably 12.
No, it's longer than 12 hours. Hell, it takes 18 hours just to get to Mississippi from here. So, from Indiana to Massachusetts, I bet you it would take you at least 18 hours.
We'll go. We'll look.
We'll
look up gas. We'll look up Marion.
It takes 4 hours just to get to Cleveland, Ohio from here, and then you got to go all the way across Pennsylvania, and then you got to go over to New York, and then up the coastline. So, because Massachusetts is up, towards the top. So, yeah, I guarantee you it's about 18, 19 hours at least.
From Gas City to Boston.
Okay, how far is that? Or how long?
14 hours.
Right, see? Yeah, 14 hours. Yeah. So that's right. About 18, yeah, I said. So, yeah, 12 to 14. Yeah. So, yeah, 14 hours.
So that, and
Boston is south of where you're talking
it's 896 miles. So you're talking about over 1,000 miles.
Right, yeah.
From Saugatuck to...
Right, so it would take, about at least 14 hours. Maybe even longer. Maybe 15 or 16 hours.
From Saugatuck?
Yeah, from Saugatuck.
No, it's going to take 18 hours.
Yeah, 18 hours. Okay, go on.
So Kubacki, he was a 23-year-old student at Hope College in Holland, near the eastern shore of Lake Michigan. He disappeared February 20th, 1978, whilst on a solo cross-country skiing trip near Saugatuck. The day after his trip to Lake Michigan, snowmobilers in Saugatuck spotted cross-country skis abandoned with a backpack and contacted the authorities to report a missing person. They quickly found the contents of the pack belonged to Steve, and the search and rescue mission immediately started. But the only clue was a 200-yard trail of footprints in the snow, leading past the edge of the lake, which ended abruptly, leading investigators to conclude that Steve had fallen through the ice to his death, either by drowning or hypothermia. The area close to Lake Michigan was somewhere Steve had visited many times before. 15 months later, Kubacki reappeared in Pittsfield, Massachusetts, 720 miles due east, with no memory of what had happened since that day at Lake Michigan.
No shit.
Was Steve a victim of the Lake Michigan Triangle?
So they don't even know. He didn't remember how he got to Massachusetts or anything. I say alien abduction. That's what I say. That's my way in. I think he was abducted and they dropped him off over in Massey. Just said, fuck it. Drop him off wherever we are.
Well, I mean, here's the bottom line. He either was abducted by something that, like, tractor beamed him up because his tracks ended abruptly. Mm-hmm. And this is what I don't understand. Well, he must have fell through the ice. He didn't fall through the ice.
Right. Yeah, clearly.
So there what? Do you guys think he just magically fell through the ice? Because I'm guessing there wasn't a fucking hole there.
Yeah.
That would have probably been said.
Yeah.
The tracks ended abruptly and there was a hole in the fucking ice. So we think maybe Steve drowned or died of hypothermia. That would make sense.
Like you would see a crack in the ice.
You don't just fall through the fucking ice, dude. There's nothing.
Yeah,
he would have been struggling.
Yeah.
Trying to get back. It would have been a whole mess.
Yeah, he would have busted the ice up. Yeah, if the ice wasn't even cracked, I mean, you just don't materialize through ice.
No.
Usually you hit the lake and you stop for a minute.
So that or he literally vanished out of this dimension into another dimension.
Well, see, that's what a lot of these that we're going to talk about, a lot of people think is they just go to a alternate dimension. And that's a big theory, and we've talked about that before on here, that it's possible since parallel universes are not only possible, but it's a theory in physics. Even Stephen Hawking, one of the greatest minds of our time, believed in parallel universes. So, if parallel universes exist, and we said this on the Mandela Effect episode, I believe that sometimes those universes cross over, kind of touch each other and cross into ours. Well, it's possible it's pulling people into the parallel universe. Because a lot of these people we're going to talk about have never been seen again.
It's in a place called, they call the Lake Michigan Triangle, where several boats, several planes, people, you know what I'm saying, have all been come up missing in this area. It seems to be like the Bermuda Triangle or any other triangle. They're like these places of exotic energy, man.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of them. But I wanted to talk, first off, since I'm going to talk about this real quick. Have you ever heard of Malaysia Airlines Flight 370?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what I'm going to say, yeah. This whole plane.
Of course, dude.
Just a fucking disappeared.
It's fucking nuts.
Yeah, the whole plane disappeared. It is what is perhaps the most baffling and tragic aviation mystery of all time. More than 200 people were on board of Malaysian Airlines Flight 370, and it vanished in midair on March 8, 2014.
I mean,
the government officials set out on an unprecedented search by air and sea that involved multiple countries and spanned at least 3 years. The aircraft and the remains of the 239 passengers still to this day remain missing. It is still unclear what caused the commercial plane to suddenly veer off course. The trip began as usual when the Beijing-bound Boeing 777 aircraft departed as scheduled from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, carrying 12 crew members and 227 passengers. But it went missing soon after a routine handover between air traffic control systems. Instead of heading to its planned destination, the aircraft flew back across the Malaysian peninsula and made its way to the southern Indian Ocean, officials say. During a news conference last summer, after the release of the latest safety investigation report in an incident, led Investigator Kok Suchon. Kok Suchon. Old Kok Suchon. He said that no cause for this could be confirmed due to the significant lack of evidence available at the team. So basically, this flight took off from Malaysia, was going to Beijing, China. And about 20, they had a handover, and they took off. And about 20 or 30 minutes after the handover, they just turned around to come back towards Malaysia for some weird reason.
Yeah, I know.
They don't know why. And then blink. They're off radar, completely disappeared. They searched the sea. They searched everywhere around there where they were last seen. No remnants of the plane.
Crazy.
Nothing. And they were over land when they disappeared. It wasn't like they were over the ocean. They were over the Malaysian peninsula when they disappeared. So, nothing.
I know.
237 people and 12 crew members just mysteriously gone. Just bye-bye.
And I don't think...
It's fine.
I think to this day, dude, I don't think they found anything.
No, they've never found anything to this day. And that's just completely insane that things like this happen. But speaking of triangles, because you did mention the Michigan Triangle, and I was telling you before we started the podcast of the Bennington Triangle.
Yeah,
and you said you'd never heard of it.
No, I haven't.
It was coined by the author Joseph A. Citro. It's an area in southwestern Vermont, which a number of people went missing between 1945 and 1950. According to Citro, the area shares characteristics with the Michigan Triangle, the Bridgewater Triangle, and that's in southern Massachusetts. So, see, in southern Massachusetts, there's the Bridgewater Triangle, which is interesting because where you were talking about Massachusetts, where this guy appeared, is another place where weird disappearances go on.
Wow.
It's the Bridgewater Triangle, right. So the first one that disappeared was Mitty Rivers, and that was in 1945. 5 people between 45 and 50 in a 5-year period disappeared from this same area in Bennington, Vermont. Like, if it was only...
Vermont?
Yeah, Bennington, Vermont. Yeah. If it was only one in a 5-year period or 2, I'd give you. But 5 people in 5 years, that's a lot of people that just go up and disappear in the middle of Vermont. Mm-hmm. So, the first one was 74-year-old Mitty Rivers. She was out hunting in the vicinity of Long Trail Road on Vermont Route 9. She was on a weeding. She was on a weeding. Jesus Christ. It's a good thing I don't tell people about the drinking game anymore, because damn it, I'm fucking up already.
No shit.
Yeah. It was on a weekend hunting trip with 4 other hunters up in the mountains. It was November 12th, 1945. Rivers and his son-in-law, Joe Lazan, were walking together before reaching a fork. Rivers and Lazan separated here, with Rivers telling Lazan he'd only be going a short distance and he would join him back at camp. As 3 p.m. came and gone, the rest of the hunting party began searching before getting authorities, because he had been gone for quite a while at this point. Mm-hmm. So they did an extensive search, but the only thing they discovered was a single rifle cartridge that was found in a small stream. They speculate that Rivers had leaned over and the cartridge had dropped out of his pocket into the water. And the thing that is weird is Rivers was an extremely experienced outdoorsman. This wasn't a guy fresh off the farm. Mm-hmm. And not only that, he'd been to this area hundreds of times, literally hundreds and hundreds of times.
He wouldn't just get lost.
Right. He knew the area very well. He never got lost. He'd been out there millions of times, and all of a sudden, just boom, he's gone. So the next one is Paul Weldon, and that was 1946. So a year later, Paula Weldon disappears in the same area. She was 18, and she disappeared on December 1st, 1946, so almost exactly a year after the Rivers guy. She was a sophomore at Bennington College. She set out on a hike on a long trail. Many saw her depart, and Ernest Whitman gave her directions. Now, she wasn't wearing a jacket, and it was 50 degrees outside. Later that night, it dropped down to 9. Now, the interesting thing about Weldon is, an elderly couple seen Weldon walking down this trail. They were right behind her, hiking right behind her. And they said they saw her, and she was about 100 yards ahead of them. Okay? Now, there was a bend in the trail. Like, you know how the trail turns a little bit and you go around a bend?
Yeah.
So 100 yards is nothing. I mean, 100 yards, you could have thrown a rock and hit her at this point. So she's walking up the trail 100 yards in front of these people. She goes around a bend. Literally, the old couple said it was a few minutes and they were around the bend too. She was gone. Completely disappeared within the span of 2 or 3 minutes. Yeah. So, and they did it, again, searches of this whole area.
Nothing. Nobody
found her. And it's interesting because it's also the same trail area that this Rivers guy disappeared on.
And so they never, still to this day, haven't found these people?
No record of any of them has ever been found. Now, James Tedford was also in 49. And James Tedford was December 1st, 1949. It was 3 years to the day. Oh, no, okay, 49. So it was 3 years to the day after Weldon disappeared. So it was December 1st, 1946, she disappeared. And in 3 years exactly, this guy goes missing.
No shit.
Mm-hmm. Now, Tedford was a resident of the Bennington Soldiers Home and had been in St. Albans visiting relatives, and was accompanied to a local bus station, which was the last location where he was seen by them. According to the witnesses on the bus, Tedford got on the bus and was still on board at the last stop before they would go to Bennington. Somewhere between the last stop and Bennington, he completely vanished. His belongings were still on the bus. His suitcase was still in the seat. His hat was in the seat he was sitting in. And his luggage was still in the luggage rack. And the bus's timetable that he had been holding and studying was sitting on the bus seat where he had been sitting. Now, they stop. They make a stop. He does not get off the bus. He's still sitting on the bus. These people that are on the bus with him, it was like a Greyhound. And they see him sitting there on the bus. The bus doesn't stop again. The bus goes from the last stop all the way to Bennington. Now, he was sitting by himself. And they said nobody really noticed it, but when they got to Bennington, he was no longer there. So how did he get off a moving bus without anybody seeing him?
Yeah,
get off a moving bus.
Either got fucking raptured, or he actually got off the bus at the last stop. Nobody noticed, and they fucking dipped out.
No, they said there was multiple witnesses.
They took off, running behind the bus trying to catch it.
But the thing is, they looked at the last stop because somebody was waiting on him. Okay, they went back to the last stop. He was not there.
I mean, even if he got out at the last stop, right, we wouldn't be reading about this motherfucker being disappeared.
Nobody ever saw him again, ever.
I mean, it's unexplainable.
Right, and he was a resident of Bennington, so he would have to go home eventually.
The reason that's weird is because if you try to chalk it up to some kind of fucking phenomenon in these, like I said, these exotic energy vortex places on the earth, that really doesn't make sense because he's on a bus full of fucking people. Why doesn't anybody else get disappeared? You know what I'm saying?
Well, it depends. Maybe it was just his seat where that parallel universe just happened to jump at that moment and suck him into it and nobody else.
Could be.
Right.
So,
it's interesting because he did not disappear. People saw him on the bus until they got near Bennington.
Yeah.
The moment they got near the town, he's gone. It's also weird because, again, it was 3 years to the day that chick disappeared.
Yeah.
And she was almost exactly a year to the day from when the guy disappeared in the same area.
But see, like the first two, dude goes off by himself, disappears. I mean, you could come up with theories.
Yeah, you could. He was attacked. He died. Somebody got him. He fell in the river.
The old couple comes around the bend. Even 2 minutes.
Yeah, somebody could have snatched her.
So, like, you could you can wrap your head around some theories that aren't paranormal.
Correct. But disappearing on a moving bus.
That you cannot.
There's nothing you can say about that other than it has to be paranormal. Because everybody saw you.
It's either paranormal or everybody on that bus
is lying or insane.
And that doesn't make any sense.
Right, yeah. You have hundreds of people on a Greyhound bus. They all
Unless he was just an annoying motherfucker, bro. Yeah. That killed him.
They all said they saw this man sitting there. Not only that, but they said they saw him studying the bus's timetables. Yeah. So they looked at him enough to not only see him, but see that he was looking at the bus schedule to see how soon he would be in Bennington. Because he was going home. He didn't, according to them, he didn't even get off the bus at the last stop. He sat right there. Okay. Then you get to Bennington, and somewhere between the last stop and Bennington, this guy is no longer there on the bus. There's no other way to say that except that's...
I have no explanation.
There is no explanation for that one. Mm-hmm. That's why that's one of the more famous ones, because there's no way to explain that.
Like, they're literally like what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Like a multi-fucking verse, a multi-universe fucking interacted with this universe and fucking swept this motherfucker.
Yeah, just took him away. Yeah. He just happened to be in the...
as good as fucking goddamn explanation as I could come up with.
I'm saying. Now, this is another one that I say could possibly be explained away. But this also happened in Bennington. And it was Paul Jepson, Jepson. 1950. October 12, 1950, Paul Jepson, age 8, had accompanied his mother in a truck on their farm. She left her son unattended for about an hour while she fed some pigs. When she returned, her son was nowhere in sight. Search parties were formed to look for the child. Nothing was ever found. Jepson was wearing a bright red jacket and should have made him more visible. According to one story, bloodhounds tracked the boy to a local highway where, according to local legend, Weldon had disappeared 4 years earlier. So, this boy, they tracked him to a highway where this trail that Weldon chick disappeared from, it was right at the start of that trail that she was on. But that one you can kind of explain. She left the boy unattended for an hour. There's child snatchers all over the world. So...
For an hour?
Yeah, for an hour while she fed some pigs on the farm. Well, they were on their farm. She went from the house, drove the truck out to where the pigs were in the barn area, and left him, playing in the barnyard there.
Yeah.
But, again, he could have been snatched. There are ways that I can explain that.
We could literally be talking about a serial killer.
Oh, yeah, easily.
In this area.
Yeah. Now, the next one is Frida Langer, and she was also in 1950. She was 16 days after Jepson disappeared. October 28, 1950. Frida Langer was 53, and her cousin Herbert Elsner. They left their family campsite near Somerset Reservoir in the same area where this Weldon chick disappeared to go on a hike. During the journey, Langer slipped and fell into a stream. She told Elsner if he would wait, she would go back to the campsite, change clothes, and catch up to him. When she did not return, Elsner made his way back to the campsite and discovered that Langler had not returned to the campsite and that nobody had seen her since they had left. Over the next 2 weeks, 5 searches were conducted involving aircrafts, helicopters, and up to 300 searchers. No trace of Langler was found during the search. On May 12, 1951, Langler's body was found 3.5 miles from the campsite in the eastern branch of the Deerfield River in an area that had been only lightly searched 7 months previously. But no cause of death could be determined. So, hers is obviously she was abducted by somebody. Clearly.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like 4 of them.
Yeah.
Might have been.
Right. The only one that gives me pause is the guy on the bus.
Of course.
Yeah, that's the one that gives me pause.
And see, like the one, the skier in Michigan.
Yeah.
Like the reason that one to me is so interesting is because this motherfucker is found later. And he's alive.
Mm-hmm.
So, people, right, like we said, those 4 disappearances can definitely all be explained away as somebody abducted them. But this dude disappeared off the face of the earth for 15 fucking months, bro, and reappears. There's one in the Bermuda Triangle. I think the dude's name was Bruce Gernon. He was a pilot, and he was flying from the Bahamas, dude. And he got caught literally in basically what he said. He called it an electronic fog. But, like, clouds just formed around him in, like, this literal, like, tunnel, like, hole. Mm-hmm. And he survived it. And they ended up in Miami, like, an hour before they were supposed to. Like, somehow this fucking vortex, like, basically shot him through time, basically.
Interesting. I wanted to go back to this Tedford guy, because there's something very interesting also that happened to him before he disappeared off this bus. In the same place, Bennington, he returned from World War II. Okay, Tedford there. And he had a wife named Pearl Tedford. Okay? And he said when he returned from the war, his wife seemed normal at first. But shortly after coming back home, he returned one day from work, and the house was completely empty. All of Pearl's belongings were still in the house. All of her money was still in the house. All of her stuff was still at the house, but she was nowhere to be found, even though she was supposed to be here, or be there. The house was completely in order, and there was even a meal set out for him and her at the table. James Tedford just assumed that she had stepped out for a moment and thought nothing of it at first. But as the late evening came and Pearl had still not arrived home, Tedford began to worry. Speaking to neighbors and locals, he found that she had been seen that day on her way to an Amico store in town, and she seemed completely normal, in good spirits, and not exhibiting any signs of distress. When she had not appeared by the following day, police were notified, but they have never found any trace of her. They said she had probably run off, but then why had she been seen in completely normal spirits, and why hadn't she left any kind of note or took any of her things? And why would she leave the meal behind already prepared? Pearl Tedford nor her body would ever be seen again. So, That's another one that disappeared in the same freaking town was his wife. And isn't it odd that his wife disappears and then years later he disappears off a bus?
Yeah.
In the same exact town. I'm just saying.
It is weird.
I'm just putting it out there. I am just putting it out there. There's another one, and I'm trying to remember this guy's name, actually. And I can't for the life of me remember this guy's name. But he disappeared off his front porch. Like, okay, his wife was making dinner. He was sitting out on the front porch. And if I can remember this guy's name, I'll tell you who it is. But I can't remember his name for the life of me. It might be Owen Prophet. I don't know. Yeah, it might be Owen Prophet. Hold on. Let me look. Yeah, that's what it is. It's Owen Prophet. Yes, here's another one that is completely unexplained. Owen Prophet had lived a wild life by anyone's standards. He had told tales of his youth that featured piracy, great battles, and numerous women. Now, by 1760s, Owen Prophet was in his 60s, and people said that his wild living had caught up to him. He was a virtual cripple, could barely walk. Okay, he's in his 60s, he can barely walk. He was living with his elderly sister, Susanna, in Shepton Mallet, a town in southwest England. For a man who used to move freely from one adventure to another, he had paralysis, and it was a heavy burden on him. Now, the date is sketchy because some sources claim it took place in June of 1763, while others say it took place in 1768. Regardless, we do know that on a warm evening, Owen Prophet was sitting outside due to his virtual immobility. He needed the assistance of his sister and neighbors to carry him out into a chair on the front porch. So, his sister returns home, and Owen is sitting in his chair. Across the road, a very short distance away, there were several farm workers that were laboring right across the road from where he's sitting on the porch. And they were in earshot of Owen. So, they were very, very close to him. These houses were very, very close, and they were right across the road, and they could hear...
Close enough to hear him if he said, hey, what's up?
Yeah, hey, what's up? Right. So, if someone had approached him where he sat on the porch, they would have seen something or heard something.
Yeah.
But nobody saw or heard a thing. A storm was coming that evening, so Owen's sister came out onto the porch to bring him back inside from making him lunch. She had went inside to make him some lunch. Storm was coming. She had just went inside. A few minutes later, she comes outside to get him because she hears, knows the storm's coming.
Right.
She got to bring him back inside.
No more than 15 minutes.
Less.
Yeah.
She said about 5 or 10. So she goes in, takes in the groceries because she came back, puts them away, goes back out on the porch to get Owen. He's no longer in his chair. Now, this is a cripple. Cannot walk. Totally paralyzed.
Yeah.
Sister goes in for 5 or 10 minutes, comes back out. He's gone. Completely gone. Knowing that he could not have moved anywhere by himself, she asked the farm workers if they saw someone come and get him, but none of them had. So,
yeah, and if he was, even if somebody did, and you could see how guys would be working, not paying attention, and wouldn't see it, but he would fucking scream.
Right.
And they would hear it.
Right. They would hear it. Yeah. Because, he couldn't walk.
And it's
or
1763, so we're not talking about any, loud machinery or loud fucking cars.
Yes, there was no cars,
right.
no loud machinery. No. They were using hand tools.
Yes.
So, And they're doing farm work. So they're probably just, feeding the chickens and feeding the pigs and baling hay. Nothing big.
Right.
So if they're right across the road,
they're going to hear.
And they said they're in earshot, they could have heard, he would have screamed out, hey, what are you doing?
Plus, I mean...
Plus the sister's right in the house.
And we're talking about out on like a farm.
Right.
1763. Yeah, like if somebody was coming.
Right. You would have seen them down the road. Yeah. And how do they take him off the porch? A disabled man who can't walk and take him away. Again, 1763.
That's not going to be like a quick snatch and grab.
No. And it's 1763. What do you put him on? A horse?
Right.
Somebody's going to see you riding away on a horse. Somebody's going to hear the horse.
Plus, he's not even going to
be able to ride a horse. Right. No. You're not going to be able to throw this guy in the back of a horse. So, what options do you have? A carriage? You would see a carriage. It's not going to get away that fast. It's not like we're talking about they could have thrown him in the back of a Jeep and ran off with him.
No.
All you had then was horses and carriages. That was it.
That's it.
So, and no, he's never, ever seen again. This guy's never seen again. Within a 5-10 minute span, he's sitting on the porch. They come back out. England.
Okay.
It was in England. But yeah, he's sitting on the porch. 10 minutes later, she goes back out, and he's completely disappeared. And the blanket he was covered up with is sitting in the chair that he was sitting in. As he was sitting there, like it wasn't even disturbed.
So, like, let's say that your universe theory has some merit. Let's say this is true, right?
Right.
Universes are somehow overlapping, and these people are getting trapped into a different universe than the one that we're currently in.
Right.
That they're currently in. Why doesn't their fucking blankets and hats and briefcases and whatever go with them?
I don't know. I don't know the rules of this. This is just my theory. I don't know.
Although I guess the blanket isn't necessarily attached to your body.
Right. The hat.
The hat could have been off.
Yeah.
And he was holding the timeline or whatever, and it fell. And then the briefcase wouldn't. So I guess it still could make sense.
Yeah, all of his shit would still be there, just not him.
Because I can't, for the life of me, think how motherfuckers just disappear off the face of the earth.
No.
Especially ones
on a moving bus.
Well, but then they don't reappear. But then, like, the one that reappears is something like that could be. That I guess would give merit to the alien abduction theory because he is brought back. Where maybe if you get put sucked into a different universe that you're just there. And they may not even necessarily be somewhere else.
Yeah.
They may disappear from this reality, but they're still right there in that same chair. Say.
Yeah, they're in the same chair.
And maybe everything around him is the exact same.
Right.
But it's a different timeline. That's going to happen into the future, and now he's in that one, while we're still back in this one going, where the fuck did Owen go?
Yeah, right. It'd be a different timeline, but it would still be pretty much the same. I mean, there'd be some small differences.
Maybe to the people that disappear, that never happened. You know what I'm saying? They never disappeared.
Yeah, to them, they never disappeared.
Nothing never changed, right?
No.
That's crazy to think about.
Yeah. To him, like James Tedford, he was still on the bus. And he got off the bus, and he's like, well, why is my wife alive again? Why is she at home? Maybe his wife in that reality was still there. Yeah. And possibly Owen, he just appears in this chair, and he's like, what's going on? And maybe little things were different. But maybe not major things. Maybe nothing he actually witnessed. Hell, his reality might not have changed at all.
Right. At all.
Because it might have been a slightly different reality than ours. but nothing enough for him to even realize that he had left.
No, it could be something that has nothing to do with him at all.
Yeah. Could be something very, very tiny that has nothing to do with him. But it's just a different timeline.
But it is a different timeline.
Right. And he's there and he doesn't even realize he went to a different timeline.
Sure.
It's only everybody else that's still in this one that knows he's gone.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's wild, man. Some crazy shit.
Well, I think the one where, and I give you some of these that we said could possibly be explained. The boy, can be explained. The little boy. The old woman, they found her body later in a river, so clearly somebody grabbed her. But I kind of have merit on the 100 yards one. The one where she, turned the corner and then the old people she could have been snatched, but again, in that one, you think you would have heard something.
Or seen.
Yeah, because, you're going to hear her scream.
Right.
You're going to hear some kind... she's not going to go willingly with this person.
Right.
There's going to be some kind of fight in that. So you would think you would see something in that. And like the guy in Michigan, again, if he fell in the lake, you would see evidence of him falling in the lake.
But she turns a corner and they have 100 yards. It's possible that somebody could knock you out fucking cold, drag you behind a tree and hide.
It's possible, but again, in broad daylight,
That one is.
In broad daylight on a trail where there's people around, if you're going to knock someone out and possibly abduct them, you're not going to take the chance of an elderly couple 100 yards away.
Right.
And you knock this person out. You're going to wait till this person's completely by themselves. You're not just going to, you know what I'm saying? Right. So, for her to turn the corner, and 100 yards is not that far. You can cross 100 yards in probably 5-10 minutes, easy.
Oh, no, that's way shorter than that.
Right.
Yeah, you're going to walk 100 yards in less than a minute.
Especially if they're experienced hikers, and obviously they were, because they said they hike this trail all the time.
Right, and I'm guessing it's a pretty clean trail.
Yeah, it's a pretty clean trail, and they hiked it all the time, so they knew the trail. So, they probably covered 100 yards in 4 minutes. So 4 minutes is not much time to knock somebody out and drag them away, and especially at 100 yards, again, you would hear something.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's just knocking somebody out, you would hear the thud. You would hear the, holy shit! Because I don't know about you, but if someone jumps out the woods and hits me with something, I'm screaming. Right.
Yeah, unless they get you from behind.
Right, but even if they get you from behind, you're still going to hear, oh! Or something.
You would think you would hear something.
Yeah, something.
For sure.
Right, and they didn't hear anything.
From 100 yards, you're going to probably hear the smack of whatever hit him on the side of the fucking head.
And you're definitely going to hear them dragging them through the woods.
You're probably going to hear and feel the thud of them hitting the ground.
Right.
Like a sack of potatoes.
Right, and then you're going to hear them dragging them through the brush.
Yeah.
There's going to be sounds there, but they heard nothing, they saw nothing. They turned a corner and she's gone.
Yeah.
And it's also odd that it was in the same area where that other guy just magically disappeared. They never found a single trace of him other than a bullet.
Mm-hmm.
Right. They never found his body or anything. Now, again, he could have ran into, somebody who threw his body in the river or whatever.
Yeah.
But again, what would be the purpose? You see, why would you abduct a guy? And even then, you think eventually somebody would find something that belonged to this person.
Because he's hunting. It's December.
Yeah.
He's going to have a bunch of fucking hunting gear, a bunch of fucking clothes. Yeah,
right.
Sure.
They didn't even find tracks from this guy.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. All they found was a bullet that was rolling on the riverbank. That's it.
No, it's a mystery, man. There's all kinds of stories of people literally, dude, that vanish off the fucking face of the earth.
Yeah.
And
a lot of times in front of everybody. Like the moving bus one, I can't explain.
Yeah.
The Owen Prophet one sitting on the front porch, I can't explain that. There's no way I can sit here and say I have a logical reason how a handicapped, paralyzed man can disappear off the front porch without anybody ever noticing anything.
No.
Especially when you got 5 farmhands working right across the road with their earshot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, that's all you can do is sit here and speculate how it happens. But
I mean, logically, you can't come up with a logical explanation for those.
No, at the end of the day, there are disappearances out there where you don't have a logical explanation.
Yeah.
Which means that, but there is an explanation. That's what's fascinating about it.
Yeah, there's something that happened.
Something happened.
Yeah, they didn't just vanish into thin air. Something happened,
and more than likely, it's something that we just simply can't explain because we don't understand the forces and the energies that are behind it.
What's possible? It's aliens. I mean, aliens do abduct people
for sure. Right.
Yeah.
But like in the case of like the guy in the wood, hunting. If he's abducted, you know what I'm saying? You would think that the other people would have at least seen a craft.
Well, possibly. But
same thing with the girl, you know.
Oh, yeah.
You would think that I guess unless it's a cloaked craft, could be.
Well, I think these people I really do think they walked into some time of, like you said, alternate timeline. I think they just, a momentary lapse. I think that's what causes the Mandela effect, to be honest, a lot of times.
Could be. Yeah.
I think timelines cross and then you get sucked in. But anyways, I hope you guys liked it. This was episode 69.
69?
My favorite episode.
I love that. I love a good 69.
I love a good 69, that's right. But I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we will see you next time.